Hi, everybody. It's Thursday, April 14th at about 1:11 p.m. in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm delivering this newsletter video again in celebration of the new moon in Aries, which is coming tomorrow morning at approximately 6 a.m. Eastern Standard. So, welcome to the precipice of our new zodiacal year. This is the beginning. This new moon marks the beginning of the cycle. And Aries is the beginning of the cycle as well. Aries is the first sign of 12. And Aries is that energy of primal instinctual will. According to esoteric astrology, Aries is ruled by Ray 1 of will. And it is pure contentless will force. It has no color, it has no quality, except that it desires movement, it desires assertion, it desires expression. I guess, quintessentially, we can look to Aries as being the primal masculine, right? Primal masculine energy. If feminine energy is the energy that holds the bowl of awareness, sort of the contentless awareness, then Mars or Aries is the masculine will force that extends from that bowl and comes outward into the world. In the springtime, Aries is often associated, at least in the northern hemisphere, with the tiny little shoots and roots that poke up through the ground. They have to force themselves up through the earth, right? They have to come up through the frozen earth and the frozen layers of ground, and in order to do that, there has to be this like urgency, this push, and this desire for friction. These are all Arian characteristics as well. Aries likes to push against things. It likes to feel the contact that it makes with the firmament as it pushes up through the ground. It likes to feel the contact it makes with the world around it as it pushes itself forward and makes contact and sees the response. But it comes from a place that is instinctual, so it doesn't have forethought associated with it. It doesn't have contemplation. It doesn't understand the big picture. If Jupiter as an ascended fire sign represents Zeus, or represents the father, like the great benefactor, the one who understands all, God himself, Aries is the buffoon of the Greek pantheon. I mean, Aries in Greek mythology was seen as an idiot, really. I mean, he was seen as a bloodthirsty warrior who wanted nothing but to kill and rut and conquest, and he didn't even care what side he was fighting for. It was just, he would throw himself into the battle and go full tilt toward just consuming whatever it was he could possibly consume. He was like a juice monkey on steroids. He was an idiot, right? And there's this interesting quote from the Iliad. Well, let me just pull it up. Zeus says of Aries, "Of all the gods who live on Olympus, thou art the most odious to me, for thou enjoyest nothing but strife, war, and battles." And at the lower aspect of Aries, I mean, that really is what he's all about. He's like the lust for that conflict, for that contact, for that push, for that spark. It's the fire that's out of control. It's the fire that is lighting across the dry brush of the prairie landscape, the out of control fire. But at a higher aspect, Aries changes completely, right? When we lift Aries into its higher form, and when Aries energy or primal instinct, I mean, a primal instinct as it comes up, I mean, it really does come from source. It comes from way beneath you. And I like the way Roberto Assagioli describes human consciousness. He says that at the essential level, what we are is contentless awareness and will. And that is what the human being is. If I could just piece that out for a second, the awareness is the feminine, the will is the masculine, and the contentless is that witness place, which is connected to divine energy. It's connected to source. It has no human storyline associated with it. It just is presence, right? So if we are presence within the awareness and within the will, then I suppose it's like we are the feminine bowl, and we are the extension of life, and we are that which witnesses this expression, and that's essentially what we are. But when that extension outward, so when that Aries masculine force comes from a place, or comes from a feminine bowl that is dirty, or that is contracted, or that is fearful, or that is subjugated, or that is wounded, then the masculine energy extension becomes an expression of that wounding. It comes out into the world and hurts. I mean, look at cultures around the world that subjugate the feminine to extreme amounts. Like, look at, some parts of the Middle East, for instance, Daesh as an example, who put into slavery women and girls, and who have very little respect for the feminine. In fact, they subjugate it. Look at the violence of that culture. Look at how okay they make their behavior. It's very primal masculine, primal toxic masculine, right? Because they have no balance inside their ecosystem between the feminine and the masculine. The feminine is wounded. She's under attack. She's not held. She's not respected. She's not offered space to feel safe. When the feminine doesn't feel safe, the masculine extension tries to hurt whatever it is around it, because, quite naturally, the masculine principle within us wants to be of service to the feminine principle. And so the more happy and the more held and the more fulfilled is the feminine within us, the more beautiful the extension outward can be. So anyway, this I get a little discursive, my apologies, but to pull it back, the lower presentation of Aries, according to the Greeks, was this lower masculine, right? The god Aries was this sort of lunatic of savagery, like this uncontrollable bloodlust. This is all he was. There was no quality of goodness to him. There was no heart. But when we see the god Aries move into the Roman pantheon, he changes completely. In fact, the Romans attribute Aries, or they call him Mars at that point, as being the father of their civilization. He was elevated to a place above even Zeus or Jupiter. He was considered to be the god, the one, and he represented creation. He represented fertility. He represented that primal instinct and urge to grow and to become more and to expand. He ruled, warriorship at a higher level, warriorship that is rooted in currents of nobility and of believing what you are fighting for, right? That the Romans believed that they were a great race of people, and they wanted to spread this greatness around the world. And this was truly what they believed. So the warrior culture that they exemplified was justified. It was seen as glory. It was seen as heroic. It was important. And they elevated the Aries energy. They elevated it to a higher level. And so these are the two qualities of Aries within us. We have this primal force that can come out and hurt, right? Or we can pull that force in, re-articulate it, move it up, connect it to a higher truth, and then we fight for love. Then we fight for something important. And on the planet right now, and in the sky right now, as we sit with our sun-moon conjunction in Aries squaring, almost like a little bit of a wide square, but it's squaring an exact conjunction between South Node, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. We are essentially seeing the choice point. We have a choice right now as to how we want to express our will as we are witnessing the destruction or the illumination of the reality and of the construct on the planet that we've built. We've created a reality on our planet, Capricorn. We've built a construct. We've built a system that is fulfilling itself in ways that are devastating. And if we continue to buy into that system, if we continue to support that system with our will, we continue to support something that is diseased and that is destructive. It's the negative expression of the masculine. And so we sit at this choice point, and it's lovely to notice as well that we have a triple play of Pisces energy right now in the sky. And Pisces offers us, Mercury and Neptune, they offer us this ability to dream a different dream that is elevated into higher consciousness and higher awareness. They offer us the opportunity to lift into our hearts and to see that we're part of a collective and unified field, and that we can all choose to take our wills and appoint them to a different place inside our system, inside our structure. We can weave that will force up. We can pull it in, and we can make sure that it is being aligned with something better or something greater than just our own selfish desires. Because at the end of the day, when Aries is associated with the selfish desire nature, or the primal, instinctual, objective, subjective desire nature, it goes out there and it ruts and it fucks and it gets and it takes and it does whatever it wants to do, but it's all fulfilling your own ego. It's all fulfilling your own inner desire nature. But when Aries moves through the heart, when your will force comes through the heart, it automatically becomes collective in nature. And then what are we fighting for? Well, we're fighting for the greater good of all of us. So that's just an incredibly important place that we are all sitting at right now. And this is marking the beginning of a very powerful year for everybody on the planet, as we continue to see the Capricorn conjunction come together. And it's just really essential for us all, I believe, and I feel for myself personally, for us all to take very good, careful, to be very carefully aware of where we're extending from, of what choices we're making and what we are doing on the planet, what we're doing in our day-to-day lives, how we're aligning and where we're coming from. Because our extension out, we will create whatever it is that we are extending from. Do you understand? If we extend from fear, we create more fear. If we extend from greed, we create more greed. We create more disparity. So I was talking to a client about this morning. We had such a lovely conversation, and she was remarking on the fact that the consequences of our actions, or the consequences of our misaligned will force, are just so blatantly obvious to us now. Like we can see it. I mean, 100, 200, 300 years ago, you could live in your little village and it really didn't matter if you were acting out of a selfishness, right? Or if you were acting for your own benefit, or if you were acting out of greed or lust. I mean, sure, you would accumulate your own karma around that, and you would affect your family, and you might affect your tribe a little bit, or whatnot. You would certainly affect your soul and your own evolution. But now the effects are so grandiose. They're so over-exaggerated. They're so global, and none of us can hide. None of us can hide or pretend that what is happening is not happening. We just can't. None of us. We have to see what's happening on the planet. We have to see what's happening on the planet. And if we continue to create it from the same place that we've created it from, nothing is going to change. The only thing that will change is if we elevate our consciousness and understand that we're all here to help each other. That's the elevation of will into the heart. And that's the elevation of consciousness. And I know that it's happening to everybody. And I guess my desire with this contribution here is just to bring it to our attention today, because at the Aries new moon, 2019 Aries new moon, this is the start of the zodiacal year. This is the pulse point. This is the beginning. And, this is an opportunity for us, all of us, individually and collectively, to say, who am I going to be this next year? Where am I coming from? What matters to me? And what am I going to align my will to this year? And to take it very, very, very seriously. It's not an undertaking that's not, the undertaking of aligning one's will to higher will is certainly not easy. I know, because I work it pretty hard. It can be quite painful, because it means you have to give up a lot of stuff that you like and that you want, a lot of selfish desires, right? But what choice do we have, truly? What choice do we have, truly, than to elevate our will into a higher place? So tomorrow with the new moon, maybe it would be a great time for us to sit in contemplation of this principle that I'm talking about and that this archetype is presenting for us so beautifully. Maybe it would be a nice time for us to sit and explore what will means to us. Where does will come from within us? When I want something, why do I want it? Where is it coming from? What is the source of my will? And is the source of my will something within my own self that is selfish, or that is in pain, or that is in lack or in need? Or is the source of my will something that is greater, something that is more illuminated, something that is more true? And is there a way for me to recognize the lower will and the higher will within me, and to start to kind of gently and slowly weave that lower will into my higher will so that they're congruent, and so that I can like literally just start to align with the higher will and the higher good every day and every moment of every day? I mean, this is the ultimate goal. And trust me, I fail at it miserably, like on a daily basis, particularly as a mother of 3 children. But it still is something that's incredibly important for myself and for all people in my imagination anyway. And it's it's a very subtle difference. I'll tell you a personal story of earlier this week. I woke up, I think it was Tuesday morning, and I had this I was very Aries on Tuesday morning. I have a lot of Mars. I have Mars and Aries in my chart, Jupiter and Aries. I have a lot of Aries energy. So I'm a warrior energetically. My masculine energy is very much of a warrior texture. So I can get a little assertive, let's putting it mildly. The way I direct myself into the world can feel almost like I'm coming for the jugular, right? And I think, I've been in this partnership for 14 years with someone, and the partnership is ending. And, so we're at this place in our relationship where we're like just being really honest and upfront about things, and like kind of coming to neutral with each other. And I was feeling like all of this angst and all of this aggression, all of this fire on Tuesday morning. And I'm like sitting there in the kitchen making my kids lunches and snacks. It's like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. And I'm like, and I probably just needed to go out and exercise, but nevertheless, I couldn't do that until later. And then, this man came downstairs, and I think I just made some like flippant, really, like didn't intend anything by them, comments about something stupid like his choice in dentist. And he said to me, "I am so glad that I will not have to live with that warrior energy anymore." I'm like, "Oh my God, really? What warrior energy?" And then I stopped, and I'm like, "Whew. Okay, let that come in, let that come in." And like, I spent the entire morning, like, just like feeling that, like just feeling how when I'm in the warrior and it's not coming through my heart, that it's a dangerous weapon. It's a hurtful extension. It's not okay, right? And I'm like utterly responsible for that energy. That's my extension. That's what I'm creating. I'm creating that energy. So that energy goes out and it impacts whoever it touches. And so like for, and I've been aware of this for a long time, because this is my energy. So I've been working with it consciously, but it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper and more personal, because the shit is hitting the fan, and I have to be fully accountable and fully responsible for who I am and who I put into the world. That's it. I don't have any excuses. So that's the level of kind of awareness that we need to develop. We need to be able to say, where is the extension energy coming from? Is it appropriate? Is my will being put into the right place? Is it being used for the higher good? How is it affecting people? And if it's not okay, if it's not in alignment, we have to be willing to take responsibility for it, pull it in, and reweave it into a higher place. And that's the only way that we're going to change our lives. And it's the only way that we're going to change the lives of all of us and the world that we live on. So anyway, It might have been a little too personal, but you know what? Such is life. I hope this was helpful, and may you all have a blessed day tomorrow as you contemplate will, contemplate force, and contemplate action, and contemplate how you want to create yourself for this next 12-month cycle. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.